Do we need to be concerned about Starfield? This past week was the Game Awards, the final big opportunity for developers to show off the latest and greatest for their games before we go into 2023. I had a great time streaming the show with a bunch of you watching before the copyright lawyers got to fight over the corpse of that video. And although I thought it was one of the better Game Awards in recent years, one thing that was notably lacking was Starfield. And as many people quickly noticed, it wasn't even just Starfield that was absent from the awards, but really Xbox and Bethesda overall just seem to skip out on the show. This being rather surprising because they have several games that are seemingly coming in the first half of 2023, aka at some point in the next 6 months or so. And yet despite that, there were no updates on Redfall or Forza, which both really seem like shoo-ins to be there. Although thankfully in the days since the Game Awards, we actually get some updates around what is going on and what is potentially happening in the future. There are now rumors of an Xbox standalone show coming in just a little bit, as well as a bit of a response from a Bethesda employee as to what is going on with Starfield. So in the weeks leading up to the Game Awards, the Starfield situation had definitely been heating up. Fans dedicated themselves to delay or non-delay camps over whether Starfield internally received a second delay. This largely being because Bethesda is doing something kind of odd with Starfield marketing. We got the gameplay reveal at Naughty 3, but then really nothing until a random 4-minute Q&A video. This just kind of came out one day out of the blue, but then they didn't release anything after it, and that video is now about to be 2 months old. So in general, we've almost had 6 months of silence outside of one random 4-minute video, and generally speaking, a game getting revealed and then immediately cutting to silence has been a bad sign in the past. Although, at the same time, this is Bethesda. They are literally the people who do the whole silent until we are ready to really show you the game thing. But then the Game Awards happened, and this honestly shook things up even a bit more, in particular when it came to Starfield speculation, because not only was Starfield absent, but Xbox as a whole was absent, which felt very out of character. In the week prior to the show, Xbox announced that their future AAA game releases would be $70 instead of $60. And it definitely felt like they were preparing for some pre-orders to go live at the Game Awards with that price increase, but instead we got nothing. Some people have speculated this is a result of Microsoft trying to buy Activision and really now the FTC suing to stop that acquisition. Perhaps they don't want to advertise a bunch of console exclusives at an award show as they're trying to claim they're actually enhancing the competitiveness of the market. So the first update on all of this are rumors of a potential Xbox and Bethesda event coming in 2023. This is coming from Jez Corden, who has now had several correct leaks in the past, like particularly around Avowed. He gave us a lot of the information we currently know about that game, and he was actually one of the few people to mention in the weeks leading up to the Game Awards that Microsoft may be absent from the Game Awards, which now in hindsight was a pretty big call, a pretty big thing to get correct. But now he is reporting that tentative and unverifiable rumors have recently started that Microsoft may be exploring some kind of event for Q1. So Q1 2023 will be between January 1st and March 31st of 2023. And this may be even backed up already by a public-facing statement from Microsoft. The VP of Marketing at Xbox tweeted saying, "We have a lot planned to show and share about an incredibly exciting year ahead for 2023. Appreciate folks are eager to learn and see more. Timing is always key. But don't worry, you will not have to wait too long for what's next from us." Which, okay, taking these two things together, it definitely makes me a lot more hopeful about something happening in the next couple of months. Rumors of a Q1 Microsoft event from somebody who has correctly leaked things in the past, as well as a VP at Microsoft, specifically the VP of Marketing, saying that we're not going to have to wait too long to hear more, definitely makes it seem like Microsoft are planning something. And honestly, this makes a lot of sense to me. There's a fair amount of baggage that goes along with participating at an event like the Game Awards. Because of course it's not your event, you're having to work around somebody else and what they're setting up and their vision for that event. And when you look at Microsoft, they should potentially have a fairly stacked 2023. There are a lot of big releases, even just from Bethesda. Both Starfield and Redfall are supposed to come out in the first half of the year. So it could make a lot of sense to just do your own event rather than piggybacking off of the other guy's event. And we've seen standalone events start to pop up more and more as of late. It really feels like this is something that has happened in the pandemic era as a result of E3 just not really being as successful. Hogwarts Legacy was something I thought for sure would be at the Game Awards as it's coming out in just a couple of months, but instead they skipped the Game Awards and are doing their own standalone gameplay reveal. And the same goes for ESO. ESO is almost always at these broader gaming events, but instead this year they skipped the Game Awards also, along with the rest of Xbox, and instead are going to have yet another standalone event in January, which is actually pretty typical for them. They did this last year. So overall, it seems like Microsoft and Bethesda may just have enough to to talk about that they thought, hey, we'll fill our own event as opposed to just having a couple of trailers at this other guy's event. But even beyond that, we have heard from one Bethesda Game Studios community manager on Discord who gave us some reassurances and perhaps some minor updates around Starfield and Starfield marketing. Right after the Game Awards, the talking point that absence from the Game Awards must mean a second Starfield delay is imminent started to become quite a bit more pervasive in the Bethesda Discord, and we did hear somewhat of a response around this, how a lot of people are reading into things way too much, you needn't worry. And then continuing on with, the next Q&A video is what's up next on the schedule, which we encourage people to keep submitting questions for. Expect more and more as we get closer to release. As I mentioned earlier, things will happen when they're ready to. And although on one hand, this is literally just somebody saying, hey, don't worry, we're still working on things, it does at the same time kind of feel more reassuring given the broader context. Like at the very least, it seems like a delay announcement isn't imminent. Not that I really thought it was, but there definitely were a fair few people who did think a delay announcement for Starfield was imminent. It definitely would be an odd choice to say everything's fine if everything was in fact not fine. But it is a bizarre situation. Bethesda really likes showing the final product of the game, giving us a look at something we will actually be playing. And Todd Howard in the past has even said that he would like to have a shorter marketing window if possible. So them not talking much about Starfield right now doesn't really feel that out of character for the company. And this ongoing silence didn't really feel indicative of anything to me, whether it be a delay or not a delay. I don't think there's evidence for one or the other, as Bethesda are quite literally the people that say nothing until they're ready to show you just about everything. But of course with Starfield, they broke that mold. They did actually give us periodic behind the scenes looks. They have had several trailers for this game over the years now, and it almost seemed like Bethesda couldn't commit to one thing or another. The marketing overall got delayed. We get the delay announcement, we get the gameplay reveal shortly thereafter, then we just randomly get a Q&A video and then nothing. If anything, it feels like releasing that Q&A video was kind of odd, but at the very least, we seem to get confirmation here that more Q&A videos are coming, and as we get closer to release, we'll probably get more and more, at least more regular releases, perhaps more often than once every 2+ months. But I think this could bring us back around to that common quote we hear from developers where devoting resources to marketing does take away from actual dev time. And I think in this particular situation, we could just see Bethesda focusing on fixing Starfield or making the game better as opposed to marketing it. Because Starfield was obviously delayed for a reason, and although the delay isn't the largest in the world, it was definitely pretty far away from release. They still had 6 months of expected dev time before the release date when the delay announcement went out, so it must have been pretty clear relatively early on that, hey, we need more time for this. And I think these Q&A videos could actually be a pretty nice middle ground as to how they could do marketing for the foreseeable future until we get closer to release and perhaps some bigger trailers coming. You verbally share some details about the game while at the same time perhaps giving us a small vertical slice look at gameplay. Like in the first one, we got to see some dialogue and hear how those systems would work. But either way, I would say my large takeaway here is that we will likely see or hear something from Microsoft and Bethesda in Q1 of next year. And in general, work is being done on Starfield. It doesn't seem like there are major reasons for concern, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll start to get some release dates, because 2023 is still kind of a blank slate for a lot of games. Starfield, Phantom Liberty, Forza, and even things like Avowed that are doing something. Either way, that's the update on Starfield, what we've heard recently about this Starfield situation and broader Xbox situation. Hopefully you guys found this one informative, but until next time, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all later.